Mill versus gauge. What is the deal with liner thickness? A lot of attention is given to liner thickness these days, and for good reason. After all, a pool liner is the heart of the pool, and being the heart, shouldn't it have the thickest liner possible? Manufacturers allow distribution companies and online stores to market and advertise material and thicknesses however they wish. They are allowed to create their own terminology to describe the thickness. Some companies use the term mils, while others use the term gauge. A few years ago, pool liners were sold with two thickness choices, 20 and 25 mil. This represented 20 and 25 thousandths of an inch. Today, everyone is selling above-ground pool liners, and some are even creating their own terminology such as Super Duty 30. This industry is lacking a clear description of thickness. Many above-ground pool liners are constructed with a thinner material on the floor of the liner compared to a thicker material on the sidewalls. Sidewall material has the patterns already on the top. Then the liner goes on to bead manufacturing, and then final material is added for the bottom, foot traffic area of the liner. The floor section is produced differently because its manufacturing process is different. The material used tends to be thinner than the sidewall material since it is easier to produce thicker materials onto inventory rolls. This allows the manufacturer to switch patterns more easily. You will notice that the bottom pattern is usually the same on most liner bottoms. It is only in recent years where more bottom patterns are being introduced. The good news is that it is not difficult to get quality pool liners. You will need to know a couple terms first and keep them in mind when looking for a liner.
The most common above-ground pool liner attachments are overlap, J-hook, regular bead, also known as a standard bead, uni-bead, easy bead, and the Johnny Weissmuller or Esther William bead. Number 1. Overlap liner. An overlap liner is seen from the outside an above-ground swimming pool. It hangs over the sidewall. Overlap liners can be built with an expandable vinyl material for deeper style bottom pools. There are often fewer patterns available with overlap liners. Typically, a pattern on this pool liner is larger, so when it is stretched over the top of the pool wall, there is enough that goes underneath the water as not to look uneven. So, the patterns tend to be repetitive and larger than with beaded style liners. Number 2. The regular beaded liner, also known as the standard bead liner. Beaded liners have a bead built into the top of the liner that serves as its attachment. The bead goes into a bead receiver. Bead receivers are first installed at the top of an above-ground pool during installation, and the bead simply snaps into this receiver. Number 3. The J-hook liner. These liners have a bead that is shaped like a hook, and the hook is simply installed on top of the pool wall during installation. No need for a bead receiver. These J-hook liners are being phased out by manufacturers in favor of the uni-bead and easy bead liners, which we'll get to next. A special note about these J-hook liners is that we often see people trying, or they take the top of the J-hook liner and install it into a bead receiver. Sometimes it works, but most of the time it usually falls out after filling the pool. It is important to remember to first remove the bead receivers if you have them on your pool before you install the J-hook. Number 4. The uni-bead pool liner. This liner is produced with a universal bead known as a uni-bead that works as a J-hook and a regular standard bead. For a J-hook application, the hook part is just simply attached to the pool wall, and if you want to use it as a beaded, the J-hook portion needs to be cut off. It's perforated, so you only need to cut about a ½ inch and the top just peels right off. It's a lot easier than it sounds. You just want to watch out for the seam areas. Sometimes these have 2 or more on them, and you have to peel off carefully as you go. Perhaps this is left up to a professional. You'll have to make that decision. Number 5. The easy bead liner. Easy bead liners are also referred to as multi-bead liners. These liners are an improvement on the uni-bead liner. They are constructed universally, and they install has a J-hook and regular bead. The only difference with these is there is no cutting necessary. One simply attaches the J-hook onto the top of the pool wall. If you want to install as a bead, you just simply fold over the top of this liner, and there's your bead. It just tucks right in. Number 6. Johnny Weissmuller and Esther Williams liners. These liners have a thicker bead attachment and are made specifically for two older aluminum style pools called the Johnny Weissmuller and Esther Williams pools. These pools were popular in the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s, and hence the need for liner replacements these days. They're produced with an aluminum metal bead track that serves a structural purpose as well. It not only held the bead in place, but it held the top of the pool in place. And the bead track is thicker than a regular resin style bead track, and it's also painted so it's smooth, and regular beads would pop out of these during installation, or they can pop out today still.
Also, beware of the advertising gimmicks used. They often try to distract the buyer from the measurements. Real liner thickness will have a matching price tag that makes sense. Some manufacturers allow their distribution network to apply their own thickness descriptions. Pool liners are not regulated and can be sold as is and under false pretenses. Try to opt for quality manufacturers and only deal with companies that offer you the above requirements. The best way to care for a pool liner after installation is to take care of your pool's water chemistry. It doesn't matter what system you sanitize with if you're not doing a good job with pool water chemistry. This will have the biggest impact on how long your liner will last. Thank you for watching today. For more information on above-ground pool liners, please visit us at www.abovegroundpoolbuilder.com.